Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to another edition of Winning Ways, where we've got a big show involved. We're going to be chatting some emails at the end because we've got some very interesting emails and some quite contentious ones. There's points that we're going to bring up that will get you thinking. And my mate left thinking very badly about the soccer on the weekend. What happened to your side?
They weren't good enough. They were outplayed. They were never at the races, but we're still second for the time being.
For the time being.
For the time being, we still say we're ahead of all the munchers who've been chirping all week.
Yeah.
This happens. You know, we've only had 3 defeats. They're all away. You know, they're Man United, Liverpool and Chelsea. We're still in the hunt. Liverpool played well and deserved to win, no doubts. But the other teams keep winning. Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea at a
Arsenal, don't mention Arsenal.
No, they're rubbish, but I'm saying they managed winning.
Absolute rubbish.
And I think Man City will move into second tonight against.
What amazes me about Arsenal, and I watch them religiously, okay, they score a goal, and 35th minute or whatever, having put pressure on Hull the whole way.
The handball.
And then the handball, it was a handball, okay, but it wasn't, anyway, it was given as a goal. Sanchez is the only man in that team who deserves anything. And then they just like sort of pass the ball around. They don't put teams to bed. They don't get in there. You see these teams like Chelsea and you guys and that, when you got teams on the rack, you put them to bed, you put 4 in. They should have put 4 past Hull. They don't care about it. And they nearly got beat on the counter.
Yeah.
Or they nearly got caught on the counter.
Improved a lot.
It's pathetic. It's like, oh, well, we've scored our goal now we can just cruise along. There's no killer instinct in the team whatsoever. And I think that's to do with the
That's the problem. But it keeps it tight. Chelsea dropping 2 more points makes it interesting. Going at Burnley. What I found interesting over the weekend, James, was the rugby. You know, England.
Did you watch the Six Nations?
Yeah, I always watch Six Nations. I was the Welsh have got to feel aggrieved. The guy's got to find touch. Secondly, and Cuthbert's got to cover his wing. He goes into the centre, they go around, they score. Yeah. But what worried me, James, there was the match I watched was Scotland against the French.
Yes.
4 people went off with concussions. When are they going to start making it mandatory to wear a helmet?
I think it's coming.
It's coming, definitely.
Yeah,
get on a motorbike, get on a horse, get on everything else. Rugby, the hit heads.
Yeah, they do. Well, maybe soccer they should be doing it too, because you know they've always got a little elbow in their head. And I know that you've suffered from many.
Rugby, you start with the head.
Suffered from many concussions playing that baby game that you played.
That's right.
Yeah.
But England keep on rolling. Yeah. But I think the match in Ireland will be good. England-Ireland.
Yeah, that will be the game. That will be the game to watch. When's that, this weekend?
No, I think it's the first week of March.
2 weeks' time.
2 weeks' time, something like that.
2 weeks' time. Well, all I can tell you is that it looks pretty close between the top 4 teams.
They are tight.
Maybe even the top 5.
Yes.
But really, Italy is so disappointing. And I'll tell you why they're disappointing. Because when Mallet took over from them, and I think Nick Mallet's one of the greatest coaches that ever lived, they looked like they might be going somewhere. They've actually just regressed as a rugby team, as far as defensive patterns are concerned, as far as scrums are concerned. And once you've been in Six Nations as long as they have, you'd think that they would improve.
Yeah.
But
they're really struggling. And
I suppose they're
Mallet, your man Mallet, you like Mallet.
Mallet,
only man to drop Teichmann and Jos van der Westhuizen.
Different class.
That'll be on his CV for the rest of his life as well. He's very, very good pundit.
Shame, talking about Jos Memorial on Friday was a really moving affair.
Yeah.
And one of the great rugby players of all time.
Good to see Bill Beaumont putting in a tribute.
Yeah, and Francois Pienaar, as usual, unbelievable speech he made.
Did he have to mention the negative side? A rock star off the field?
Well,
he got divorced over it. Don't bring up the rough stuff. Compliment a man.
We're all flesh and blood, and we all make weak mistakes. I know you don't, because you
Scarp shouldn't highlight it.
You are one of those men of men never had a problem.
Compliment people.
Straight down the
Compliment people.
Okay, well done. Let's go and have a look at 3 to follow quickly.
England-Ireland, 18th of March, James.
18th of March, England-Ireland. Is that from Raymond
Spielberg?
The Spectacular Spielberg.
Spectacular Spielberg, from him.
I hear he's going. You know that?
Who?
He's up for retirement.
Can't be. He's not
Raymond
that old.
Spielberg.
He just looks old. He worries a lot.
He's up for retirement. When he's up, we're going to have a good producer.
Problem.
Yeah, we've got Zane and Brenda. Okay, listen.
Yeah.
I hope you're concentrating, Brenda. We've got her here in the corner working on this show. Right,
okay,
should be fun. Let's go and see what we've got in 3 to follow. Right, let's go and have a look at our 3 to follow. And we kick off with the first one. We go to Turfentine. And we go and watch them on the inside track. Sean Terry's run a real flight, beautifully bred, all over the place. Should be able to win his next start comfortably.
Yeah, it is well drawn. It comes out a little sideways because it's its first run, and it runs a very good race because it doesn't have too much about it, but beautifully positioned, gets itself into a nice race. Your eventual winner, Roman Evenings in the white with the white blinkers, that's gone up next to the hunting game to make the pace. And our friend Mr. Kamala, I think, who rode it in Chris Fanika's colours, has just got it beautifully placed for a debut run.
Yeah, I thought Sherman Brown pinched a winning break here. As you see, he comes off the elbow and he says, hey, Silver, let's go. Kamala's caught in a gap, in a bit of a box. The horse on his outside, luckily for him, moves out to give him a chance. And now he starts making ground, but he doesn't seem to be able to really get into stride. The horse on his outside gives him plenty of room, which is very lucky. But then he starts running on now and really runs on very, very well at the death to just get beaten.
Yeah, this will improve heaps, I believe. The winner, as you say, stole a march, but well done. Keep an eye on the runner-up. We think he'll win very soon.
Yeah, he's a nicely bred horse, isn't he? Blaff, you've got the pedigree.
Yeah, he's JPEG out of Luna. What was the mother? I had them in it. I remember
I don't know what's going on here.
Manamu, I think, or something like that. Very good. It's Sean Terry's family and Chris Fanika's family.
Yeah.
Very nice.
He was bred by Hemelanada, I think.
Yeah.
By our boys at Hemelanada. Look, you better pass me that stuff if you
you
need to know.
Let's go and have a look. Cloverflay bred it.
Cloverflay bred it. Well, you know, that stuff should be
Any
my
other questions?
side.
Well, before you're ready. Any other questions?
Let's go and have a look at the second one we got with Scottsville. Race 1, it was yesterday, and they went 1,000 meters. The good thing, won 2 million rand yearling of Alesh Naidus, and congratulations to him. But the horse that was just behind it, Bobby's Express, ran a cracking good race.
Yeah, it's a sparkling debut. Very good debut for that horse. And you can see it drawn down there. Your winner is drawn 1. That's the VAR horse that Alesh Naidu, Arthur Marcus, Charlie Laird, they're off and gone. But I was very impressed with this debut run of this horse, Bobby's Express. And I was impressed with my horse's run. He comes from second loft to run 4th. But the favourite's green. It's running now, looking for company. And outstriding out beautifully. Bobby's Express for Doug Campbell. And the other horse he gets into race is the horse that has raced in black called Opportunity.
Yeah, Bobby's Express is about Toreador. He's a gelding. He's out of a mare called Cornflower Blue. I trained her best progeny. Was a filly called Indigo Princess who won group filly. And this ran a really good race. Here it is in the green sleeves in the middle of the 3, and Ngwani having a full go on it and just not getting there. But the winner was eased down. He might be a very nice horse, Varello. He's bred by Fastfontein, and he's a VAR out of Western Wintermere. Keep him in your notebook. But this horse should be able to win next time out. Bred by Bit Thoroughbreds, and Doug Campbell's the trainer. So certainly worth having a look at for next time it runs there.
Yeah, very nice debut.
Right, then we go to the last. And here we've got to compliment a few people on making sure that this ran, especially the Stripes, because under pressure, and it was pouring with rain, they got the horses to start, loaded them up and ran them back. High Alta ran a cracking good race here. Let's go and have a look at it. We don't know if the form will stand up, but if this filly keeps going from this run, very, very nice. Here she is.
Couch is riding it, Couch Neutling, and he's riding it. The fancied runner was the stablemate who patently didn't get a hold of the ground, and that didn't help. So this horse making his debut runs a very good race and comes with a rattle up the outside. The favourite was a filly called Modesty, who gets beaten 14 lengths in the ground. That's well placed. The winner is in Chris Fanika's colours, 2 off the right. But as you can see, it's teaming down. The horse we found is getting a slap at the back.
Yeah, right at the back, second here on the outside. She's actually third last now in the picture, going round them. And this is probably the right move to get her back into the race. She's by King's Chapel out of a Jalad mare. She's bred by Backworth Stud. They've kept a share in her. And she might be quite nice. I don't know. There was really raining and there was a lot of mud flying. But she ran a very good race, this filly, to come right up the outside and run second.
Yeah, she's lost here and she's run wide the whole way. It's her first time on a race course. Couch uses his brains. He gives her a clear run to the outside, and she's relished the ground. It's pouring with rain, and Anthony Delpesh has moved on Sean Terry's runner, Baobab in the blue, and here it comes on the outside. It's a cracking good run by High Altar.
Yeah, Baobab 3 off the right, now hits the front. High Altar's right on the right-hand side of the picture. And Devon, well, he's got a jockey's license now. He should get a few more rides. Ashburton, he rides work there for Duncan Howells, and he gave this a cracking good ride. So expect this one to go over a bit more ground and be able to win next time, I would have thought.
Yeah, I think it stays all day, and it was a good debut. We realised the underfoot conditions were soggy, I should say. Soddy. I'm sorry for saying soddy.
There was a lot of soddies being kicked up.
Yeah, a lot of soddies being kicked up. But High Altar, remember the name.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back after this.
And they are off and running from the 1600-metre mark in the first leg of the Triple Tiara. This is the Wilgeborgsdrift, Gauteng, Fillies, Guineas. And let's see what happens now. And for the moment, it's Firewheel on the inside that gets out well. Woodnymph is there, Secret Obsessions in the third spot. Then Espumante's back along the inside, and they race there 3 lengths off the leader, being followed by Fortitude behind that lot. Margot on stage, Luella. Then Do You Remember outside, racing inside of runners and about 5 or 6 off the leader. Taber's further back. King's Temptress is further back with Nagev, who's outside of that group, and they race their 7-8 lengths off the leader. Showtime is further back, and Al Kindi is the trailer, and 12 or so from the leader. So it's Firewheel in front from Woodnymph, racing in the second spot as they become homeward bound in the Wilgeborgsdrift, Gauteng, Fillies, Guineas. So that now is Firewheel. Woodnymph in second. Espumante is racing in the third position in the black body and the red cap, and 3 lengths off the leader, with Secret Obsession in the middle. Cherry on the top is racing in the yellow sleeves, yellow cap. Fortitude behind that. Do You Remember? They got 6 lengths or so to go on this leader. Firewheel's in the middle. Espumante's on the far inside there. Woodnymph is there, and then Secret Obsession. Cherry on the top is getting closer. Do You Remember runs behind those now with 300 to go. Cherry on the top has now come into the lead, and she raced away from them with 200 to go. King's Temptress is on the chase further back in the field, but it's Cherry on the top, and she shot 3 lengths clear. Do You Remember? King's Temptress, Espumante between runners in trouble for a place, but Cherry on the top. Cherry on the top has pulled it off and won the Wilgeborgsdrift. She won by 2 lengths. Do You Remember? King's Temptress, Espumante. Behind that was Jet Bell.
Well, there you go. Cherry on the top, winning the first leg of the Triple Crown in Maritzfontein colours, and she ended up being a very, very good Triple Crown winner.
Very good Triple Crown winner, yeah. And Naresh Juglal, I think, rode, did they?
Absolutely, for Old Man Ormond.
Ormond Ferraris, very good
Naresh
trainer.
Juglal.
The Guineas are coming up on the 4th of March. We've got the Fillies, Guineas, and the Guineas coming up in Gauteng, or I think it's the 4th.
Yeah, the 4th of March. That's the big Guineas day.
Yeah.
Interesting aside, I remember talking to Ormond about 20 years ago, before he became the in-favour guy. Was always he was a stickler, and he said to me, "I don't train for those rich people. No one, rich people have horses with me." I see he's now got.
He's got all of them.
He's got them all.
Very good trainer. He's got them all.
Well, he's probably mellowed a bit. Geez, he was grumpy in those days. He's now mellowed a bit. Yeah.
He's still a very good trainer. Sure.
All out of him.
Anyway,
well done,
stuff,
Ormond.
yeah.
And lovely to see him still training winner after winner. And that's the blast from the past. We're going to be back with Plum of the Week.
On the inside, the filly Flip Flash comes alive. Bay Style with just on 300 metres to go. Flip Flash is a runner between them. Handsome Henry's on the outside. He's got a length to make up. Bay Style with the advantage. Flip Flash is trying to wear down. Handsome Henry on the outside. A three-way go. Bay Style looking to last. Handsome Henry gets going on the outside. Bay Style pulled it off. Handsome Henry, Flip Flash, and then came You Pose, You Pay.
Well, this was a horse that backed to exclusion, and what was interesting about this race was, firstly, you could get 11-2 on Interbet when this horse opened up. He ended up 5-2. You could have got 3-1 at the death, but he was a horse that they really backed. Everything else walked in the market, and there was an incident here which interested me, and we'll be talking about it later, was that apparently the horse was hit over the head by the
I watched the head
jockey.
on, and it looks like his whip goes out there. I know there was an objection or an inquiry. I don't know. I just know the result stood. I don't know what their ruling was.
Well, we'll talk about it later because it does come up later. But
Yeah.
That was the one you had to be with an Interbet. Looked like a horse that the volumes showed that it was the right horse. And when you go on your Interbet site, you'll see they could give you those volumes, and you can see exactly when the prices are taken.
Yeah.
And there were big volumes on this horse, and it looked like the right horse in the race. And it won and kept it in the boardroom, which was fascinating. We're going to take a sponsors break. We'll be back.
If you love soccer and you play the tote, you won't believe what Interbet has to offer you, or the excitement of tote betting on your computer or your cell phone. It's simple. Choose your teams and your bets, work out what your combinations will cost, see how big the pool is, and place your bets. You can even track your bet live as it happens and get updates on your progress. It's all the fun of the tote on your phone. So what are you waiting for? Sign up now at www.interbet.co.za and you could be a winner.
Right, well, we're going to take a race from overseas, so we'll be back with you after that. Right, graduate of the week. Green Pepper is this week's BSA graduate, Bloodstock South African graduate of the week after winning her 5th race. She's won 5 from 6 this filly. And she's bred by Fastfontein. Johan Janssen van Vuren trained the 3-year-old. She cost 300,000 at the 2015 Val de Vie sale, which I see is no more. Val de Vie, we're now going to, I think there's a Cape sale at the Thoroughbred Breeders Cape sale in the middle of March down there at one of the equestrian centres. She's a daughter of Give Me the Green Light, and he's got 7 lots on the Cape Yearling sale, so worth having a good look at this one. And Green Pepper is a very good filly. She came down here and she won the big race by a short head.
Showed a good resolution winning that race too. Very good filly.
Yeah, excellent filly. Right, but we had some interesting racing, couple of features leading up to the big summer season in Johannesburg. And obviously these races give you a very good idea of where you're going as far as Guineas horses are concerned and fillies Guineas horses are concerned. And we start off with Tony Ruffle as a grade 3, and they went 14.50.
Dusra sits quietly to the inside. Further back in the running we find Matador Man with Dawnbreaker. Scrub of the reins there from Pierre Stradham and Chili Con Carne in front by a length and a half. The white cap of El Fahad now looms large. Towards the inside, Ectafar. That's got about 2.5 lengths to make up. All the time, Dusra tries to get a bit closer. Chili Con Carne as they come to the 350-metre marker. Here's Ectafar putting in a huge run as they come to the last 300-metre marker. And the filly Ectafar bounded away. Matador Man's now on the charge, got 2 lengths to make up. But Ectafar's in command. Matador Man's trying to run late on the outside. Ectafar by a half. Matador Man's eating late, but it's going to go to Ectafar. Matador Man. Then came Dusra and Chili Con Carne.
Well, there we go. Ectafar. This is a daughter of More Than Ready, purchased in Australia. Runs James for Sheikh Hamdan. Good filly.
Very good filly. She got $600,000 in Australia at the English, so that's quite a lot of money.
Yes.
And she really does look like a decent filly. She's won her last 4 now.
Yeah.
And she took on the colts. It was interesting that Mike does this often. He slips him into the colts race, gets the 1.5 kilo sex allowance, because at the weight she looked like the right horse.
Yeah.
She had them cold at the weights, and he made it a very good winner. And this
what's interesting, James, is looking at this race. People watch this race being run, and then the next race that came up was the 3 Troikas, another Group 3, 4 fillies. And if you have a look in there, Ektefard beaten Anna Pavlova, who goes on to win that race. The form was there for you.
Exactly. But Mike, I think, took his chances in this race, knowing that he's probably got a top class filly. And,
she's going that way.
She certainly looks good. But let's go and have a look at the 3 Troikas, which is grade 3 for the fillies, and it's also the same type of race. But this was very interesting in that it was over a second and a half slower than the first one. So you do get results. But JP van der Merwe rides an unbelievable race on Anna Pavlova. Let's go and pick it up.
About a whip for home. They're just on 650 metres left to go. Last chirp in the green silks. Yellow cap of Maleficence on the outside. Zakira going to look to go towards the inside. As they come down to the 400 metre mark, Elusive Strike comes out. Triple Digit tries to get closer, and here's Visuality between them with Anna Pavlova. Babbling Brook to the outside. Al Horus starts to run on. Coming to the 300 metre marker, and Visuality starts to tighten up. Elusive Strike, last chirp still there, but Visuality comes with a big run. Anna Pavlova's trying to stay on. Pool Party on the inside. Visuality's hit the front over the last 100 metres, and running on is Anna Pavlova on the outside. Anna Pavlova in a photo might have got there. It's very, very close. Visuality, last chirp, and Pool Party.
Well, there we go. Anna Pavlova, this bred by Mickey Goss. It's a St. Petersburg, James, but Roy's done a very good job with this horse, and got a lot of ability. Quickened up late to catch the Visionaire filly.
Interesting, Roy. He was a champion trainer in Zimbabwe, and he's one of those sort of middle-of-the-road guys who deserves more. He doesn't have big buyers, and he trains a lot of winners. This mare comes from the family of Kahal. I think the dam is a sister to Kahal. So it's a very, very good family, being by an unfashionable stallion, St. Petersburg. I think Fred Krabbier was involved in that horse, and maybe at the time.
Yes.
And maybe he bred it. We're not sure. But Visuality went to Cape Town for the big races down there, and really seemed to lose her form completely, because she looked like she was quite useful up till then. And she dropped from a 96 to an 82 in the mirror rating.
Wow.
So she made a big drop on her runs in Cape Town. It was an interesting race, but the time, I think, will tell you everything about it. The time was very much slower than Ektefard's time. And I think that will mean Ektefard would come out on top against the Sponge.
Yeah, I seem to agree with you there. But good runs by the runner-up, even the third horse, the last chirp. Good run.
Yeah.
Right, those are the only 2 features we had in the province. James, you've got a lot of news around the world, haven't you?
Yeah, well, we start with the Kranji Sprint, which is always a very big race for sprinters in Singapore, and they've renamed the horse the Rocket Man Sprint, which I think is fabulous. And Rocket Man was probably the best horse that ever came out of Singapore at that stage. He went to Hong Kong and Dubai. He was a champion.
He could win anywhere. He was a very good horse. I remember they bought him with Magic Millions, and he was a lovely horse, and he just got better and better, and became, as you say, a superstar.
Yeah, 20 wins, 6.7 million Singapore, and he's just arrived back here to retire. So they brought him back here. He's in retirement here, which is fantastic. Pat Shaw's back in retirement. He's in retirement.
Fred's still going.
Johnny Girodis is in retirement. Everyone's retired. Johnny's helping Mike in Dubai. I hear he's giving him a lot of very good feedback.
Yes, that's what they want. Yeah.
So Johnny's giving him feedback, mainly on groceries and golf swings. But anyway, nice to see Rocket Man getting his name in lights.
That's very, very good.
Yeah.
James, just talking about the UAE, what was the big feature in the UAE? We were talking earlier about the quality that's now starting to come out there, how much tougher it's going to be for the South Africans and Michael de Kock in particular. They sent out Top, or was it Thunder Snow?
Thunder Snow won the UAE Guineas. It's a Group 3. But this horse won a Group 1 in France. He won the Grand Criterium, which is one of the best Group 1 races in France for young horses.
Yeah.
And it's a very good pointer to the English 2000 Guineas and whatever. And this horse was sent over Thunder Snow. Soumillon rode him. Christophe rode him in France and said he is a very good horse. He won in very heavy ground. He raced 4 wide and absolutely doddled the Guineas. Looks like a top
The interesting
horse.
thing is by a new stallion.
By that Australian horse, Helmet. Which I think that the Sheikh Mohammed raced in Australia. I think he was a very good racehorse for them in Australia.
From the first crop, Herbert Mulholland and Michael de Kock bought a cheap helmet.
I did that.
Yeah, they were telling me about it. They bought a cheap helmet with a new trainer. They sent it to, and they found out 6 months later, he only got his license 6 months later, but he's supposed to be a good trainer. He'd worked in yards for a long time.
In Australia?
In Australia, and
yeah.
it's by Helmet as well.
Okay, big news from America. Gary Stevens, who's a legend, not only a film star, but a legend of a jockey. He's had a knee replacement when he came back to riding at 50 years old or whatever. Now 53, he's had a hip replacement. And he's decided he's getting back in the saddle in March.
Good for him. He's won just about every race around. He's had other injuries over the years, major ones.
Yeah. And he's an interesting man because he works for Ruiz Racing as an advisor and a jockey for them. Ruiz Racing, the big California outfit. They run a lot of horses, Mike Ruiz and his brother. And Stevens is their advisor, and I think he'd be a pretty good advisor.
Yeah, good wage packet for a big organisation.
He's a bit like Johnny Giroudis, an advisor to Mike de Kock.
Advisor to the Kock.
Yeah.
What about Gunrunner?
Remember
we were talking about Gunrunner, James. He couldn't get out of town to go and race because of the restrictions.
Well, we thought he was going to get out of town, out of Fairgrounds, to go and race in the Pegasus. But he didn't get out of town, which was a terrible shame. And he's a Candy Ride horse, an Argentine-bred horse. And he's now going for the Razorback, which is a Group 3. He won the Clark handicap, and he ran 3rd in the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, I think. This is a very, very good horse. But what we're leading to is that if he wins the Razorback, they're talking about going to the Dubai World Cup with him. Now, those are serious horses, I think.
Isn't Arrogate putting the Dubai World Cup on the map as well?
Yeah,
they're considering it.
They're talking about going there as well. And, to go and see horses of that caliber, well, I'm with Phil. I said I wouldn't go back to the World Cup because I thought, I've been already, and I saw California Chrome from 5 yards away, and saw his mate, the Cowboys.
Yeah, I saw Curlin. I've seen all those big horses come through, and they're great race horses.
But I think, as a horse racing aficionado, as I'd like to call myself, I love horse racing, and I'm going to go back and have a look at Arrogate.
Very good.
Maybe this horse, Gunrunner, he could easily be there as well, which would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's good news. Is there anything else we got?
No, that's it. We've got, obviously, the big summer season is starting in Cape Town. We've got one catalogue which we think you should be having a look at. So we've got to wake Sepu up. He was just having a little kip at the moment, but he'll be back. He's here. This is Bloodstock South Africa now run this. It used to be the Michael Holmes.
Shongweni Mixel, what it says. There we go.
Shongweni Mixel, we got it up there. 22nd of February. Yeah. We'll get a little closer. I'll get a little closer. Okay.
No, he can come closer, James. You stand.
Can he zoom a little bit?
He can there. We get him better.
Getting there. Get my
Listen, I'll just
ugly
nod
face
off while he gets it zoomed in.
Yeah. Anyway, there's. I'll tell you about it now. Thank you very much.
Isn't there? There's also a Summerhill sale coming up, James.
There's about 120 lots on this sale. And plus the extras, this and that and the other, Bloodstock South Africa run it, as I say. Michael Holmes always ran it, was a great sale.
When's Mickey Goss's off the farm
that's
sale?
That's 21st.
21st, okay, so we've got some
Empress Palace Mickey Goss sale. So those are the 2 sales to look forward to the end of next week, beginning of the week after. I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday the week after.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll remind you again next week about them, but start making your travel arrangements. We're going to have a sponsors break. We'll be back. Right, well, we're going to take a race overseas, and we'll be back with emails from all of you out there, and we've got some interesting ones, as we've said. Well, there you go, Magic Millions. They're our headline sponsors of this segment, and just talking about them before we get into emails. Big sales coming up. Adelaide, not many people go to.
No, it's got way bigger now. Yeah. It's got way bigger there. The catalogue's very strong.
I think it's quite a good sale.
It's a very strong sale if you have a look what's going on. They've got the Perth that comes up in February, and then you've got Adelaide in March. Adelaide's got big, James.
And Adelaide could be a place where you could go and pinhook some yearlings and bring them back to South Africa and sell them. You know,
absolutely.
The time frame works out. You can get them to the breaking farm by July.
That was Sir Frenchie with Snaith and
he was an Adelaide.
He was an Adelaide sale.
Yeah. So, and he's a pretty nice
horse. Yeah, he was an Adelaide sale, Le Choisier. No, they're strong. Yeah. So Magic Millions got some good sales coming up.
And then obviously the one that we all go to is the June sale.
Weanlings and broodmares.
Weanlings, broodmares, and yearlings.
Yeah, that's it. And the beauty is you can pick from 1,000 horses. Yeah. You know, it's very good. So that's the story with Magic Millions. But let's get straight into letters, James. I've got one here I'm going to read to you that I think this guy comes through. His name's Chris James, and he says, with regard to Arrogate and how far our line of thought behind the American patterns, particularly AP Indy and unbridled lines in the injection of La Truyon. And he gives a website that we can use. What's very interesting is the overlap between Arrogate and Liam's map.
Yeah.
Daring Bid and Noble Tune would both be extremely attractive to breeders with trippy mares, but would this be commercially viable? It certainly is sensible. I agree with him.
Well, Chris Swart is he's one of those guys that is a pedigree fundi. Okay, I think he lives in Lusaka, Zambia, or whatever, and he's a very interesting guy. Follow him on Twitter or whatever, you know. Websites. What do you call
Did you follow Trump on Twitter?
Facebook. You've got to follow Trump on Twitter. You never know what's going to come on. Okay. Facebook.
Sorry, I was just digressing.
But what he's talking about here is nicks, and the nick with the La Troyenne nick is basically Seattle Slew.
Yes.
Okay. And what he's saying is certain nicks work, and he says the Arrogate and Liam's map have both come from that nick, okay, where they used APND or Unbridled Song, Unbridled Song, those type of lines to work this nick. Now, I think Flower Alley is another one
could be
from that nick. So
they certainly work, James.
Well, there's always been this sort. Tessio was the man who started with the nicks and how nicks worked, and you know, that's why people do line breeding or outcrossing or whatever. And I find this fascinating, and it really is well worth having a look at what Chris Swart's got to say.
Yeah, I like the way he mentions Trippy, Noble Tune, Daring Bid, horses that are here.
Yeah.
You know, and how as you say, he's a bit of a fundi, Chris Swart.
Yeah.
He knows his nicks, and there's a lot of fundis in this country when it comes to pedigrees and breeding.
Exactly, the key to breeding good horses, and people don't really realize that a lot of thought goes in. The breeders spend days and months working out. Everyone thinks the breeders go off from sort of January until August when they start having foals.
Yeah.
There's nothing really going on. You've got all these little babies growing up, but they actually working on. Today with computers, it's wonderful because you can do all these computer line breeding programs. There's Gold Rush and all types of programs that you
They're very good.
But I remember in the old days, my late mother, used to have a pedigree book, which she had the stallions' pedigrees handwritten on the top and the mare's pedigrees at the bottom, and tried to work out nicks on that base as well. Today it's so much easier, it's not even possible. But it's really something that is quite a science, and the best breeders seem to know where to find the best mares and how to breed the best mares to get the nicks.
Yeah, that's true. So that's from Chris Swartz, and now we got one that's very short and to this point from Vic Pillay. When are stakes going up?
Well,
firstly, in
you
this
want to
province
ask
and
me
around the
that?
country. Yeah, well, I think the public want to know. I know there's people are
He
trying.
must be an owner, this guy, because he's probably battling like anything.
Yeah.
Stakes haven't.
It's a perennial gripe at the moment. It's absolutely determined in Gold Circle country by how we trade, and if we don't trade well, and then you haven't got the money. But there is to mention Brian Bernard and his group. The what are they called? The concerned. I've forgotten the name. What's it called? It's an owners and trainers organisation that Brian Bernard, Mahesh Chetty, and Alesh Naidu have got behind, and they're getting people to say, "Let's get involved. Let's get stakes back." It's not that easy.
Was there a proposal to Gold Circle from them that they do away with subsidies on boxes and whatever, and that proposal would
they're looking at every angle. Brian Bernard's looking at every angle of where they can save money and put it into
well,
stakes.
let's just talk about that proposal, because it's interesting to go through it.
I haven't got the...
Who does it affect?
Big part. It affects the owner.
Yeah.
Every proposal affects the owner. If you take away subsidies, it affects the owner. It goes to the trainer and affects the owner.
But the point is, you take away the subsidies, so the small owner is paying as much as the big owner, as it were. The big owner wins more in stakes, so actually it suits him more than it will suit the small owner.
Yeah, you
take away subsidies.
You've got to realise, James, that you've got a situation there. Any extra costs that are heaped onto the trainer get passed straight onto the owner, and the owner has to pay for it, whether it is. But subsidies, if I can just touch on this, and it's a tricky subject at the moment, is that, James, it goes from grooms' quarters. How do you remove that subsidy?
Yeah.
I don't want to say
transport.
Every transport to the race course, I want to remove that. Then you have the situation where you've got rent. They say we should be paying more for boxes. It all sounds
R1,000 Rand more a box.
Yeah, and myself and Tony have spoken to Brian about it, and he's beginning to realise that they're looking in their wisdom to find ways of getting more money in, which everybody applauds. But you've got to be careful of where you cut it and how you can or how you can't cut it and how you can say. I think our CEO has been very frugal. He's used austerity measures very well. And there's big think tanks coming around, James, where they're going to sit back and say, we've got to try and get stake money up. And this new group have been warmly welcomed. We want their input. But they've got to see both sides of the coin fully,
Well, it's as you say, perennial problem since I've been in racing. You tried to make sure that the stakes relate to the training fees, and sadly, it's dropped quite a long way behind.
Yeah, the risk to reward.
The formula that we used to use up when we were on the Racing Association in Johannesburg was a formula whereby if you won a race and ran 4 places, it would pay your training fees. A year, but sadly that's no longer even close to
the CEO is presenting things all the time. He's got management and behind them here at Gold Circle, and they are looking at ways to get a better return. Now they've put on more races. They've done that. We've got 123 races now, but you have the situation where you've got X amount of horses. And James, if you take a normal figure, just rough figures for myself, roughly 100 grand to keep a horse, take away the stake money 110 million, give the visitors over the winter season 10, that's down to 100 million. Then you take off jockey and trainers, and roughly 78 million is going into 2,200 horses here, which gives an owner a return of roughly 32% a year. That's not purchase price or resale value. That is strictly what it costs him. So he's getting back 32%. If we had less horses, the return is 50%. If we had 1,800 horses instead of 2,200 horses. So people are saying, maybe we've got to have some form of attrition where the guys who don't hack it have to take a backward step.
You know, the interesting thing is then you have a problem. And I'll tell you what the problem is to fill your races. Now, we know...
1,800 will cover us. We've looked at those figures.
We know, okay, and I can tell you this is a fact because I've just done 6 months worth of research with Michelle and Patrick Loca and that. Unless you have 12 horse fields, you don't turn over as much money. When you have 9 or less runners, you're turning over 2/3.
Yes.
Okay? Now, that's a big problem.
No,
because if you want to be in the
no
situation that Cape Town find themselves in, where they're getting 6 and 7 and 8 horse fields, you don't do the toe turnover.
Don't do the toe turnover.
And we know it here. When we have merit rated races over 74 in this province, you don't fill them.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree.
The lower merit rated races are full. So
all the bottom races are full.
It's a big dilemma that the people that run racing have here, because they keep saying, get rid of the bad horses. But funnily enough, the bad horses are the races that fill. And the punter doesn't care. He wants to bet on a race that's competitive.
But you have to have races for the better horses, which is unfortunately maybe a lost leader. But your good horses have to have a platform to go through and qualify for the big races.
But you can't have half your races at under 10 horses a field.
Oh, no, never.
And that's what's happening.
I do believe that they're looking at maybe going to a 13th runner around the poly, but at the moment there's a safety issue and it's going to stay at 12. But I do know that Sean Parker's looking into it. There is a team behind it saying, let's try and get a 13th runner.
I'll tell you what's interesting is that if you read Daily Racing Form, Michael Dickinson, Mark Johnson, okay, is talking about how to bring owners into racing in England. And they have a question and answer with him every week. And
is this Mark Johnson, the trainer?
Mark Johnson, the trainer. Yeah. And he's obviously a very clever man. I think he's a vet as well.
And
I think Michael Cox, great mates with him. I think he gets on very well. Now, the question was, how do we get more owners involved in racing? And the answer that the racing industry has given to English racing is we must get more small owners into racing.
Correct.
And he says, oh no. He says, that doesn't work. He says, because racing is for the very rich. In England, the stakes return on your payment for horses is 25% they're talking about. He says you should be getting more rich people involved in racing. That's what he says.
People with surplus cash, great to get them into racing, but you must remember, you can never deny a guy who's grown up all his life and loves racing and can afford a quarter share.
I'm not saying that, and he's not
he's a
saying
small
that.
owner.
He's saying that their point of impact, what they're looking at, is to try and get small owners involved in racing. He says you should be trying to get rich people involved in racing.
It's a valid point. It's a very valid point.
And I think that was one of the most eye-opening pearls of wisdom I've seen from anyone for a long, long time. Because now suddenly you're changing the goalposts.
There's money out there, James.
Yeah.
People spend money on lots of things. You know, $1 million horse to some people is just buying another car. You know, to a lot of wealthy people. But we've got to look at it, and we might have to take a break now because we've got sponsors.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've flogged those two.
James, I was going through the other mails, and excuse me interrupting you. Funny enough, they've come up.
I was going to lead into this.
Okay, they've come up with. I know the reason I'm saying this, and I put them together, James, because the one from Rudy Jones is that whip use. What is the story with whip use? Now, this argument rears its ugly head, but the other one we got was this weekend's racing, the whip across the face. Where's the consistency? What is the ruling on it if you hit a horse in the face? So I'm going to put them together and we'll carry through both of them if you don't mind. Let's talk about whip use first. The argument, there's a big letter out at the moment that they're looking to, they've abolished it, I think, in trotters in Australia. They don't want them whipping them. Now, they're saying in horse racing, let's start having a few races with the riders, what you get your benefit from, not for a guy who can wield his stick the best, in the sense that the people who don't like whips are saying, let jockeys ride and show us their ability. The people who on the other side of the fence are saying, when a horse starts hanging around a corner, you can guide it around. In Australia, they're really pushing hard on this. And James, the point I'm trying to make here is, should whips come into some sort of ban, or should whips be used where you can only hit in front of the horse? Should you be able to...
I totally disagree with hitting in front of the horse. I think that the whip is used to drive a horse and should be used behind the saddle. This hitting down the neck and the slapping down the neck doesn't help a horse. And certainly jockeys
if it's hanging, it does.
Turn the whip around and hit it down the neck when he's trying to ride it out. And that's, to me, is of no use whatsoever.
The green people are saying, it's not right hitting a horse like that.
Not
Let's
right
remember, you're going to have that argument. That's the
not
Australian.
right to hit a horse.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So that's right. So you say the other one school, forget the front of the horse. That's just your opinion. And rather, if you're going to hit, you must be allowed to hit behind.
Correct.
You know, the English have got X amount of smacks per
7
furlong
smacks
or per half furlong, whatever. Now,
7 smacks, I think.
the Australians are looking for, and when I say Australians, this was this article. I don't say every Australian's endorsing this, but ride them without whips. Well, how would you take a race without whips?
I make no difference to me. In fact,
so it's ability.
I tell you, listen, I've ridden horses.
Yeah.
Whips help. Okay,
Yeah.
there's no doubt a horse reacts to a whip. Okay?
Yeah, of course. So would you. So do schoolboys with a head monster.
Well, yeah, we got caned by prefects who used to cane us at my school. It wasn't only the masters. Okay, the prefects were allowed to cane you. We had a guy
but
who had a
James.
section of canes, and you dropped your rods, boy, and got 6 across the arse.
No,
and let me tell you something.
That went out with slavery in my
You
book.
behaved yourself.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
I behaved
It's
a lot
a deterrent.
better.
A deterrent. I'll stand still if a guy comes in with a gun, but it's not right. The point of the matter is a deterrent. And whips, canes at school are gone. It's been abolished. Now, I'm not taking a stance
Look what
in
we've
this.
produced since we've abolished canes at school.
Fantastic.
A delinquent bunch of people.
Chad Leclos.
No, he's one of the few.
He's a gentleman of the highest order. He's never had a whip across his back.
I was actually reading about him. He did. He said that he was punished properly by his father when he was a child, and he says it stood him in good stead. He's become a gentleman because of it.
His dad punished him by
doors for women, and that.
His dad curtailed his activities. That's what he did. He didn't hit him. He punished him by curtailing his activities.
Punched him.
You know what's worse? If a child's told you can't watch TV, you can't use your mobile phone. That affects him much more than a clop across the chops or the Azzy. But the point I'm trying to make here is you've got no problem, and I'm saying it's just a personal thing, that a horse race, everyone has got a talented jockey on, but they have no sticks. Because spurs were taken. Spurs were in the old days. You've got to have spurs. I'm the only one who's allowed spurs, the losing team.
Yeah.
But I don't think, James, that I think there's going to be a great debate in Australia, because that's where it's.
I think there's going to be a debate worldwide, and I think we're heading the whole of this world, this planet we live on. Luckily, I'm near the end of the career, is towards being nanny states and being governed by people that actually have no clue what's going on and this and that.
So it sounds like you're against the people stopping whipping.
It doesn't matter to me. It makes no difference. What I do think is abuse of whips is really not on, okay?
Yeah.
And that leads me to the point of hitting a horse across the head, an opposition horse across the head. I think you should be demoted to last immediately.
Okay, sorry, we've gone to point 2 now. The incident of the objection in Joburg was, I believe, and I stand to be corrected here,
but there was one here at Greyville the other day. It didn't even end up in the Stipes report. The horse was on the outside. The jockey hit the horse twice across the face on the outside. There was nothing said.
Accidentally?
Well, accidentally, as a professional jockey, you shouldn't be hitting a horse across the face next door to you, okay?
Yeah.
That you shouldn't be doing. Because if the punishment was big enough, it wouldn't happen. And the punishment should be, because not only are you affecting the result of the race, but you're affecting that other horse, because the horse that gets hit across the face is pure cruelty, okay? That is just unacceptable. So if you hit a horse across the face, opposition horse, you should be demoted to last immediately.
Okay,
there should be no ifs, buts, or maybes.
No, let me stop you there, James, and I agree with you. It's cruelty. But the punishment should not affect the owner, the trainer, and the groom. The punishment should be for the guy who hit the horse across the face. You have got a month. I'm just using it a month. Don't change it. If they feel the hood.
Most jockeys like to have a month's holiday. They go
they
to
don't.
the Bahamas.
James, it's
well, it should be
the consistency. I agree with that. This whole article that we got from Anonymous, funnily enough, the article from Anonymous states that are we going to have a consistency across the country on this whip across the face issue? And now you say one happened in Natal. Now, one's happened in Joburg this week, so it looks like it could be countrywide. And whether it's inadvertent or whether it's on purpose, there should be a ruling. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah, no
I
doubt.
agree with you.
No doubt. it should be punishable by hanging, maybe.
You are getting down this game, what you? So James, it's very interesting, and it's I to this day I find myself fortunate to win a Group 1 when Sean Cormack accidentally hit the runner-up across the face in a tight finish. We kept the race after an objection. So I have benefited.
What happened to Sean Cormack? Did he get a sanction of any sort?
I don't know the latest on him, but I know he's not right. Well, we all know he's not riding.
No. At the time, did he get a sanction?
No. He was proved that he flicked it out. He caught the horse, and the runner-up does this. Was it Jeff Woodruff horse?
That's the problem. Is that actually? Can you imagine now how you affect that horse's psyche by being hit across the face?
Yeah.
It's used to being hit on its backside and runs harder when it gets hit on its backside. Now someone next door to it hits it across the face.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No,
that's
I
really
think
not
we're all
good.
in the same camp here. And as Anonymous says, are we going to get consistency? I did not read up on this objection in Joburg the other day. I just saw inquiry, then objection, and then the result stands. So how would a Star Pedigree steward view it, James? By the reaction of the horse getting the hit?
Well,
so if I hit a horse across the face and it doesn't move, that's still wrong.
No, I've never seen a horse not do this when it gets hit across the face.
Yeah.
It does this because it's absolutely unusual, and horses don't. You see, if you've got a bad groom, and you've been around horses for a long time, you've got a bad groom that hits a horse across the head, and there are them out there.
Yeah.
The horses, when you go there to go and talk to the horse, he's doing this with his head. Yeah. Why? Because he's used to. It's a reaction to what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. So these little things will tell you. And I've never seen a horse get hit across the face that hasn't moved its head upwards or sideways.
I'm going to take it a step further. When a rider is riding a horse into a desperate finish and he's smacked it down the neck and he's given it a few behind, and I've seen guys just show it, no, don't touch the horse, just show it past the face. Come on. That is regarded as normal.
Yeah.
So it's not touching the face.
No.
Now another situation develops, James, where you and I are at the back of the field and we're going around and you're screaming for room, I don't give you room. We come at the straight and we're fighting for sixth, and boom, you think I'll get Lafferty back. Boom, one across his horse's face, so I get fifth. Just that scenario there is that guy must get the same fine as the guy involved in the scrum. Absolutely, because he's breaking that rule.
As far as I'm concerned, if you hit a horse across the face, an opposition across the face, you should get a really stringent penalty, whatever they decide.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about something else, because this is a pet thing that I'm involved in at the moment. Whipping these horses at the pens with the stock whip. Okay.
Yeah.
The question I have for you: when we pass horses, are we allowed to use a stock whip to pass them?
I think the flick whip.
Yeah, but does the starter allow you to use a stock whip to pass a horse?
I think they use the flick. It's a very good question, and it's never happened to
I've
me.
never used
but
stock
I've
whip
had
to
horses
pass
who jib a bit, and if they flick it,
They
not
flick
cruelly,
them.
just a little touch on them. How cruel is I don't know, but jump, and they go in.
Yeah.
With a couple of guys scrumming them in, you get that scenario as well. But that's a very interesting point. And if you watch the Horse Whisperers, there's a guy called Bannerman or something. I watched a video of his where he uses a long stick with a small little noisy flag on it.
Yeah, they use the flag method. Yeah. They all do now.
And that was so successful. A little bit of noise and they go, and they're not being hit. And Monty Roberts was never a guy who he wanted horses to do things out of willingness,
correct,
not force.
Yes.
So do you say that we've got a situation where a lot of horses are getting whipped to go in?
Yeah, I think it's wrong. I don't know.
Sure.
If you're doing away with whipping, do away with all whipping. Now, the interesting part is you're allowed to flick a horse across its hocks, which is very unfair to the horse who's got blinkers on or whatever.
Doesn't know what's happening.
Okay, but you're not allowed to put a twitch on a horse. Now, we use twitches all day, every day in the stables. Every single stable uses it, clean the ears out, do deticking, to be able to work with horses. That's what happens. If you want to feel underneath them or whatever, you put a twitch on.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to use a twitch at the start. But you're allowed to flick them with a stick. Can you
imagine?
imagine?
Not allowed to reverse horses in. It's used successfully. There are a lot of areas that have got to be cleaned up. I know certain countries will not allow you to saddle if you've got blinkers on.
Yeah.
And I see horses walking up with the blinkers on. They're going to get saddled. And as they're getting saddled, the horse can't see. And you hear them kicking at the back. Bah, bah, because they can't see. Take those blinkers off, put the saddle on, then put the blinkers on last, you know. So I don't know what the answers are. I think there are panels looking at getting it right. But getting back to the hitting issue, James, I agree with you that we've got to have, our noses have got to be clean on this.
Well, let's face it. How does it look to have horses being hit all the way up the straight in every single race? Yeah. I'm not sure that the horses wouldn't run exactly the same with no one hitting them at all. You know? And I'm not sure that horses wouldn't run better with having no one on their back. So let's put them in lanes, okay, and let them run.
That's not going to happen. Please get out of your Star Wars mode for a moment and let's stay on horses.
Well,
the point of the matter is, there are arguments. People will say to you, who whip will not make a horse go faster.
Can you imagine them in lanes? It would be right. You could have a staggered start at the 1400 meter mark. You put them all in the pens, open the pens, and they go. It's like having mouse racing. You know, we used to do mouse racing in these lanes for charity days, okay? And you put the mice all in the thing, you lift it, and the mouse runs a little bit and then turns around.
James, you know, I've got 2 words for you. Therapy. Now, I think, was it 3 words? Seek help. But getting back to this issue, there's an argument, and you've heard this bandied about. The whip doesn't make a horse go faster, but it might keep it at top speed a bit longer when you're in a desperate finish with another horse. So I think the whole world is tightening up on it, James, and I think South Africa have got to sit back and take notice of it. I don't know the answers. I don't know if you do, but I do agree with you. Any form of cruelty has to be removed.
Okay, I agree with you. I'm very happy to see whips be banned completely. I'm very happy to see everything be banned and see them run in lanes. That would be the absolute answer. Okay, but that won't happen in my time. Yeah. So, you know, I'm going to have to live in a fantasy world of still seeing the July being run in lanes. Okay? There you go. With weights strapped on the horse's back just to even them up.
You certainly are in fantasy.
Well, you watch the camels in Dubai now. They've got those electronic jockeys.
Well, that's a different thing. But they're on lanes. And James, go see the movie La La Land or something to get you thinking properly.
Well, I hope you've all enjoyed it. It's been quite a fascinating show, filled with controversy. And as usual, we've come up with all the answers. So take them to your various authorities, and you will be seen as a hero and probably get a badge. But until next week, we look forward to seeing you back at Winning Ways.
Your world of winners is now online at www.teletrack.com. Simply subscribe to log into your account from any mobile device in South Africa and access a wide variety of content from our membership package options. Listen in via a live audio stream, catch live racing locally and internationally, or view a wide variety of Teletrack magazine shows to stay informed and updated on the go at any time. It's never been easier. Go to teletrack.com now.